Welcome to Lunch and Learn Zoom Friday. My name is Nancy Gaskins and I am your host. We're here today and our topic for discussion is KPIs. That stands for Key Performance Indicators. And we are going to discuss KPIs for networking, our business, and life. One of the things that I do every year around this time, because it's my birthday month, is I kind of go over the year in review. And I did a poor job this year. Normally, I look at my stuff monthly and quarterly. I don't spend like a lot of time on it, but this year, this is one of my really weak areas. I think I just caught myself up and being so busy that busy being busy. Can y'all relate to that? Just busy being busy and not really doing the things that I really needed to be doing. And so I thought, well, let's look at this because most everyone in our group, have like an online business component, or you are in some type of direct sales type business structure. And one of the first things that we need to do is we have to generate leads. Every business out there has to generate leads. And sometimes it's really difficult to find things that we can measure. And, people do not respect what you do not inspect. And so you don't really know how you're doing if you don't set some tangible goals and milestone objectives and then weigh yourself against those benchmarks to see how you're doing. And so I thought that today we would start with networking. And if you can, get out a piece of paper and pencil and let's take some notes and let's have a really good discussion on some of these things on starting from this point forward. Or if you have a way that you've been tracking these or something that you can add to the discussion, go ahead and feel free. So the first one, since we're going to do the topic of networking, the first KPI that you could track would be new connections made. Okay. So that would be new connections made. And if we are an online business, or even if we're not, let's discuss some of the ways that we can make new connections. And we can just go around the room, or you can just belt out something. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, for me, it's consistency. Because as we know, and you probably coached us, Bruce probably coached us, is it's somewhere between the 6th and 10th contact with the same person that your sale comes in. So it's consistently going to the events. That's why we see each other here every Friday. That's why, let's say, you see me every Wednesday at Networking in Annapolis, which is live. You see me, I could go down the list that I do each and every month, because some of them are bi-weekly or once a month or like that. It's consistent. And that's the key, that you walk in the door and they say, hello, Barry, because they already know you. Or you say, hello, Nancy, because I see you every week. So it's like that, the consistency.
Yes, and that is also go along with a little bit later down the list when we're talking about building the relationships and building value into that. So, let's talk about the networking groups. There's a gazillion out here on Zoom and also on groups like on Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, and all of that stuff. So I want to discuss on this new connections made. What might be some tips that we could share with folks on a new person? Like, for example, we come into Zoom and we see some new people. And in our particular group, we don't call it spamming, and we'll tell them to put their information, in the chat. And then we reach out to them typically, if you would agree, and we do a follow-up call and we try and learn something about them. And we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So it shouldn't be all about let me tell you what I do. Let me tell you what I can do for you. It needs to be more about you finding out more about the other person so that you can see how you can bring value to them. And you may not have anything right this very minute, but a little bit later on down the line, if you take the time to get to know that person, and yes, this is a slow process compared to what some people do, but since our group is all about building relationships, I think this is something that's really critical, and some people are missing the boat. So one of the things that you could do is to make sure that you follow up. Sometimes we get so involved in these networking activities, and there are tons of people that we can meet, but we don't take the time to follow up. Or if we do follow up, we only follow up one time. And to Barry's, topic there, it is true. It takes some people, and sometimes it's not no, it's not right now. They're not in a place where they need your product or service. And if you don't come to the top of their mind when it comes time for them to need you, they're going to buy from somebody else. And it's not because they're being mean or don't like you or whatever. It's just you are not at the top of their thought process. And the only way that you can be at the top of their thought process is to have a relationship with those folks. So share some other ideas that you might have on a new person. And let's talk about online first, and then we'll go to offline. What might you do to make someone, whether it's feeling welcome or introduce yourself, or what might you do?
Well, the first thing that just comes to mind for both online and in person is nurturing. And that's what you're talking about building relationships. And I think one of the pieces for me is, what is that expression? They don't care, something about
Don't care how much you know unless you know how much you care.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And it's got to be genuine, because I know people who send me a friend request, and then as soon as I accept it, they're in my messenger. Here's what I do. And my price is $499 US. Well, we haven't even established any kind of connection,
Marsha, I have a perfect example. This happened yesterday. This girl sent me a message, and I knew she was trying to spam me. And so I turned around and sent her a link to my landing page. And so she came back and said, "Who is this?" Now, she originally sent me a message, right? And so I sent her a link back, and, "Who is this?" And I thought it was hilarious. I said, "If you would go back up and see, you reached out and connected with me first. So I would have assumed that you would know who I am because you reached out to me." But obviously that's not the case, right? So new connections made. This needs to be, we need to set a target. How many new connections do you want to make? Whether it's, I would start out monthly. You can set a big target for the year, but let's just work on, 30 days at a time and see how well you do to see if that is a realistic number or not. So that is new connections made.
Now, I've heard
Go ahead.
a clarification on what defines a new connection. It's not getting their phone number or email. It's actually making contact with them.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that is going into the second piece of this, which is the quality of the connection made. And this is more in tune with, are they going to be, now we don't care. A connection is a connection is a connection as far as relationships go, personal. You can put them in a category of, could this be a friend? Could this be this? All of that. So we are taking that into consideration. But since we're talking about business, let's talk about how relevant they are to your business, and maybe could this lead to new opportunities down the line? And so you would have to have a way to maybe rate this type of new connection. And what might that look like? And then this also comes into play when we're talking about, sometimes we're doing this willy-nilly. We're only how many degrees of separation from the people that we really need, to help our business explode. And so if we don't really know who it is that we want to meet, we're just out here meeting every Tom, Dick, and Harry. So it's kind of like when they say the rifle approach versus the shotgun approach. We need to be a little bit more specific on who we're targeting. And that means we need to really know who our target market is. So do you have any other things that you could add to this quality of the connection on how might we rate someone on a scale? So if we had like a spreadsheet, which there's some things that I have not had a chance to look at this week and I'm going to for next week's homework, and I'll bring it to Lunch and Learn. But there is some software programs and some things that you can add to your CRM that would help you do that. And so what might you be looking for? Go ahead, Bruce.
Yes, one of the things like you were saying before is, okay, maybe, understanding what they're looking for, right? And how that relates to what you offer. Is it in having the actual conversation with them and understanding, okay, are they in the market now, or based on the conversation, maybe 3 to 6 months from now? So you could rate, how, I need to get back with them in a couple months or something like that. That's one way to do it. But also part of that is like some of the in-person events. When you're making the rounds, they say, okay, I'm so-and-so, this is what I do. My ideal, what I'm looking for this week are people that are in the market for such and such. So understanding what are they looking for, what is their ideal client, and making a note of that so that if you come across somebody, you can refer them to it. And so I don't know how you would rank them in that, as far as maybe there's somebody that is looking for an ideal client that you come across frequently.
Yeah.
And write it down so you don't forget it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And that, that is one of the things. I have these notebooks that, I've got a million of them, but I've got to do better. And I've got to get with you again, Bruce, on that platform that you were talking about that probably would be really good for me, because I like to have everything. I know I talked about something last week and I'll flip through, but there's just too much information. And I happen to be one of those people who, under normal circumstances, I'm extremely organized. And I have just found that this notebook, but now I have so many and so much that it needs to be electronic, where I can filter through here on the topics that we've talked about, the tools, the tips, or somebody asked me, I could go right to it and find out the information. And so the quality, of, the referrals, who was that person? They were looking for, X, Y, Z. And, here's the deal. Sometimes people don't know that they need something. For example, I'm sitting here thinking out loud for Barry. Sometimes people don't realize what a little change in their laundry detergent, let's just say, could be. So, how you bring that up, if we're in a business setting for networking, it would be one thing, because people would be expecting us to say something of that sort. But just out in our everyday conversations with folks, how would you identify somebody as being a potential person, striking up a conversation in a checkout line? The other day, I had on my pig shirt, and I went through Walmart, and I was using my app for that, for buying something at Walmart so I could get double my points. And the kid asked me about my shirt. And so that gave me an opportunity about the pig on my shirt. So that gave me an opportunity to open up a conversation. And I missed the opportunity at Lowe's. Now, here this guy was, because he was stressed out of his mind. They were having a huge sale at Lowe's. And I had been waiting for probably over an hour for this one guy, because he was the only one that could handle this particular thing. Evidently, the other guy was on lunch. And here I was having him to go through and use my gift cards, showing him what was going on. And I didn't even open up my mouth and say anything about it. I was just wanted to shoot myself afterwards, because here he is like an assistant manager, and it would probably been a perfect opportunity for me to do it. But I knew he was stressed and everything else. But sometimes we miss those opportunities. So let's kind of go back. I went off on a squirrel tangent a little bit. The quality of the relevance of your business, or you might just put them in a category of, this is a potential, friendship that could go somewhere. This is, maybe just come up with 3 things, and you would put that number beside their name on your spreadsheet. Doesn't have to be anything elaborate. You could just do a little Excel spreadsheet and put it in a notebook. Maybe just have like a worksheet, a Google sheet, or
Right.
something like that you could do. We don't want to make ourselves have more work, but we want to be able to track this stuff, because this is really going to be valuable to see how well you're doing.
Yeah, because
So
it
the
could be
next-
a really good collaboration partner, somebody that you
Yes.
can collaborate with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's something else, that we should be talking about here, because we started out, a couple of years ago about really getting hot and heavy in that. And we've kind of lost sight of how we can collaborate with one another. The third one would be the number of follow-up conversations and the number of times that you've reached out to your new connections. Oh, thank you. Isn't that pretty? Y'all have got the best husband ever. Look at this. He just brought me in a little bouquet of flowers. He is really, really working. I wish I could see this. That's so sweet. Anyways, so this is where, that nurturing and all of that comes. And I'm not saying you want to be so zealot and be so religious over, okay, I am going to reach out to my people 3 times over the course of whatever at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Now, some of you might need that. You might need the structure. But the main thing is you need to set some goals, to develop your relationship. What might that look like? So let's talk about that. Anybody got any, go ahead, Marcia.
I know a friend, my accountant, actually, tax accountant, he sends a birthday wish to everybody on their birthday. And Facebook will remind you of when the birthday is that day, or they'll say, here's the list of people whose birthday is this month or whatever on Facebook. So that's one way. I think people really like to be remembered on their birthday.
Yeah, I do too. And I didn't do real well on that this year either.
Yeah, same here.
That's
Yeah.
like I mean, yesterday is mine, and I got 72 posts on my timeline for plus a lot of people. This is, I don't quite understand this, but friends that I'm actually connected with, instead of posting their own comment or thing on my timeline, they'll comment on someone else's post, which I don't understand.
Well,
okay, I did that. I
me
did that
too.
yesterday, Bruce.
Yeah. Because what happens is, like, sometimes I'm not on Facebook at whatever time, and so I don't see that where it says, hey, it's Bruce's birthday. But yet when I get on Facebook, I see that Marcia wished you a happy birthday, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I go on there then. I do it all the time. So that's why we don't see it in the original whatever. So we don't send you one on your wall, but we'll see somebody that's mentioned it. And it can last for days, Bruce.
Oh yeah,
Well,
I know. It's like,
please
okay.
don't be offended, but I have Claudio and Nancy in my contact list. And in the contact list, I put birthdays, and it comes up every day, and I send an email, because I'm not wasting my time on Facebook and LinkedIn. So that's how it occurs for me.
right,
the
right.
4,000 people that I have on each Facebook and LinkedIn, I would be spending my time there. I don't.
Well, usually
But
it just
personally,
yeah.
yeah, so I send an email.
Well, and that's something different that not everybody is doing. You know what I'm saying? And so that again, just like the cards, and I got out of the habit of doing the cards. I really like to send out cards. And when I was trying to get rid of some of my monthly expenses to help my cash flow out this year, that was one of the things that I let go. And I need to, for the new year, I'm going to reinstate that because I loved those personalized cards that we get in the mail. Not everybody does, but people, that's kind of become a lost art.
Yeah.
And I enjoy getting cards and thank you notes and things like that in the mail.
I love the
And
brownie.
it's not the card that's expensive, it's the postage now.
Oh, isn't that the truth? Was you going to say something, Claudio?
I said I love the brownies. The send out
Oh,
cards.
Yeah, oh,
yeah.
yeah. They got the
Those are the
best brownies on the planet.
Oh gosh. Yes. So follow-up conversations. We could do birthdays. We could do anniversaries. We see something on social media that we know this is a special interest of our potential client or something like that. Gift cards. I'm going to be really doing a lot of gift cards this year just simply because of the new Transact card that I'm doing. I love that. So I can send you a gift card. Thank you, whatever. You can choose from hundreds of vendors, whatever you want, or I could send you one particular. And if you don't like that one, you can swap it out.
But now
So-
what you're talking about, the send out cards, that's actually one of the things that was brought up at the big table was you're sending out a personalized card. Something, it's like if it's somebody that had, you know, you found a really fun, cool picture of their pet on the Facebook and you saved it and you made a card out of that, sending them that personalized card with your information on the back of the card. So that's a card that they're not going to throw away.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
they're going to remember.
And you know, I got so many comments when I was sending out the Eagle cards to my new, every time I met somebody new, I would send them out, you know, a little card if they gave me their address. Not everybody did, but most people did. And I got more comments on that, loving that they got that in the mail because I would do a screenshot of us together on Zoom, you know, and then had a little, looky there. Thank you, Claudio. You know, again, that's one of those things that you don't think too much about because I enjoyed doing it and it went away to the wayside. And I just think that's something, you know, that kind of set me apart a little bit. And I would want people to enjoy that.
Just don't send cards with glitter.
No,
Yeah.
you don't want no glitter.
Oh, I had one of my cousins, every card they would get, it's like, I think they were looking for the card with the most finest glitter amount on there. So I'd have to open it over the garbage can in order to slide it out because it would be all over the place. She
Oh,
finally
bah
stopped doing
humbug.
it. But
Just
yeah.
for that, I'm going to the store today and I'm going to buy you a birthday card and it's going to be filled with glitter.
Oh boy.
Stay tuned.
Well, thank you for warning me. Yeah.
You just created it for yourself there,
That's
Bruce.
exactly right. That's exactly right. Okay. So we've got the follow-up conversations that we can be tracking, the different things, you know, and a lot of people, they do articles. If they find, you know, an article or something that would have something to do with one of their person's interest, you can tag them in the articles, those type of things that bring them, you know, let them know that you're thinking about them. Number 4 would be the number of new business opportunities or new deals that was generated with you two together. So it's kind of like what you were talking about earlier about, you know, the collaborations or whatever. Did you do business together this year? You know, that one, you could be yes or no. And you might have a thing in there. Why not? Maybe it might not be something like one of the people in our group they have some things that not everybody is interested in. And I know they were frustrated over the fact that we was not supporting them in this particular endeavor. And I had to, try and let them know it's not that nobody wants to support you in your endeavor. We all support what you're doing. It's just that we are not your particular target market for
Right.
what you're doing. There's a big difference, so we
Yeah.
want to do business, and as things come along and it is something in our wheelhouse that we want to do, then obviously, sure, we want to support you.
And they could be a referral partner, not, yeah, it's like, not everyone's gonna buy everything that you offer every time, but they might be offering something that, my friend Joe, that would be a good one for them, or whatever.
Yes, exactly. So this is something that you should track, have I done business with this person ever, and same thing with the number of referrals, which we'll get to later, that we need to be doing better at tracking. And then number 5 is the value of the new business generated. So what was the revenue? So if you did do business, this is another number that you could track. How much business are you doing with one another? And this is not a one-way street. This is a two-way street. How much business did I do with you? And how much business have you done with me? Also, I want to be clear. We do not operate tit for tat. We are not keeping score for score's sake. This is just a metric that we can use to make sure that we are not, let's just say, taking advantage and being one way. We want to make sure that we're doing business with one another as much as we can.
And that actually is one of the things on some of these CRMs, that when you have the contact in your database, you can track the revenue received from that person and referred to that person. So you can have that lifetime number.
Yes,
going.
value. Yes. That's one of the metrics that we're going to be talking about. Excellent. The next one is the number of referrals generated. And this could also be the number of new customers that they've sent, or just new connections that they've made for you, new introductions, ever what you want to put in there, but you need to be very clear so you know what you're tracking, because an introduction, believe it or not, is really important. It may not lead to business right now, but at least that other person is trying and doing their part, especially when we're talking about building up referral partnerships. It may not amount to anything, and that's okay. Not everybody, like you said, will do business, but everybody should be a referral partner.
And that's a really good point too. Another thing that was mentioned, I went to a BNI, event as a guest. Just the fee structure just isn't align me, as well as the meeting time doesn't align with me. But that's one of the other things that they check is, okay, I introduced or referred this person to Sam. Okay, Sam, did you connect with them? And also, okay, you referred this person to Sam. Did you follow up with Sam to make sure they got that information and that they contacted your referral? So it's multi-tiered.
Yes, it's 3-dimensional there, because sometimes, I forgot all about that. Yes, I'll contact them, whatever. Or finding out, how did that go?
Right.
Did Jane contact you? And if so, how did it go? I had a situation where it's a big, huge potential contract for somebody that I referred, and I can't understand it, because it could be like $500,000 that this person could be getting. And they have just really drugged their heels on this. And there may be a reason that I don't know why, but if somebody is dropping $500,000 into your lap, just for filling out a form, let's just say, then why on earth, especially when you need it, you know what I'm saying? And so that has been a little bit disheartening for me. So make sure that you follow up on both ends, like you said, from the person who should have been connecting. And then, we can connect people a million different ways. And it seems like the easiest way that people are doing it is, on Facebook Messenger or on LinkedIn, or, you can do it via email.
Or text message is the more popular one, where they get in a group text. It's like, hi, this is Nancy. I don't want to introduce you to Claudio. And this is and just a little quick blurb about Claudio's interested in
Right.
doing this. So, and that's it.
Yep.
And you've
And
now
then-
connected them via text.
Yep. Yep. All right. The next one, and this one will not be for everyone, but I thought this was interesting because I pulled up, a list to try and help me kind of guide us along on our conversation today. But this one was speaking engagements, the number of invites that you have received to be a speaker, a guest speaker. And that could be like, whether it's on a podcast, maybe, or a real live speaking engagement, or maybe just an opportunity for you to come and introduce yourself somewhere. So depending on where you are, what type of business, this would be a category that you could set yourself up very easily to track. Again, it doesn't have to be in a professional speaker capacity, just something where maybe you are, introducing yourself. Maybe it could be an invite to a networking group. Maybe that would be, how many invites have you received to a networking group this year from people outside, your area? And then number 8 is articles, blog posts, content. What have you created this year? And again, this one might not be for everyone, but this is a metric that you could absolutely track versus your social media engagement, and that one, it's just really hard because unless you have a software system that can track all that, or a VA or something like that, I mean, that would keep me busy almost 24 hours a day trying to track those metrics. So I'm going to do a little deep dive into that to try and figure out how folks are doing it where it would be meaningful. Because personally, I don't want to be sitting here counting likes and number of shares. I mean, I have been, simply because I've been going through some training, but it takes a long time to go through each of those to kind of see what those numbers are. And then where am I going to put that information? And then how am I going to track it, and over time, and all of that.
Nancy,
So, yes.
what kind of training are you doing that you just mentioned?
Some social media training. Fraser Brooks is my primary one that I really like what he does, because he is tied in with Russell Brunson on ClickFunnels and that whole entire group, Anthony Robbins. And so he knows what he's doing, and he is a network marketing guru too. And so, a lot of our people have direct sales in their business. And so I thought I could do this training and pay for it and bring it back as one of the, benefits of being in here.
So does he have a formal training then, like you say?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
He's got formal, and then he's got a lot of free stuff as well. His name is Fraser Brooks. So on that, you can track, what you're doing on social media, and track how well that people are responding to that. And then this is something that I found really interesting. It's called a Net Promoter Score, NPS. It's how likely your connections are to recommend you. And I thought, okay, since this is the crux of, what we want to be about, because we want to attract business to us. We don't want to be out here having to beat our heads against the walls everywhere, trying desperately to get new customers. We want to set ourselves up so that we can attract business to us. And so this Net Promoter Score is that, on how likely your connections are to recommend you. So here's some tips on that. Number 1, ask for feedback on a regular basis. Are we doing that? Probably not. Sometimes it's tough to get honest feedback. And sometimes it's hard, especially like if you're in a group here, you know, we love each other. We're like family, but we need to be clear and make sure that we're being honest with one another. And if we see something that somebody is doing that we think they could be doing a better job in this group, I'm saying it should be understood and it should be okay, because we know that we want everybody in this group to grow their business and be crazy successful. So when we say something, it's out of love and because we care for you, not because we're maybe trying to be mean. So we need to be constantly asking for feedback on what we can do better. But you also need to be asking your customers and clients and different things for regular feedback as well. And so one of the things that they talked about was everybody needs to understand that their feedback is valuable and appreciated, even if it's not what we want to hear. Yes, we foul up. Yes, we make mistakes. But what is going to be the deciding factor is how well we handle that situation. Did we make it right? You know, did we understand where that person is coming from? Was there a miscommunication? You know, it may not, like, I think everybody in here except for Barry has products and services. So I know his company stands behind all of that stuff. So he would not have an issue like that. But some of us, where we're more service oriented, there could be opportunities for us to have a miscommunication and people not to be happy with something that we've provided. And so it's, you know, people need to understand that they can be honest with us, and then we need to try and do our best to make it right. Now, not in all situations are we able to do that. I mean, sometimes it's just a bad fit and it's just something, you know, bad might have happened. And all you can do is do your very best. So you can't please, we all know this, we've said this, you can't please 100% of the people 100% of the time, but you can do your best. And that's all, you know, all that we can ask for. And then another one, number 3, would be to celebrate those who promote you. You know, send thank you notes, offer special promotions, offer discounts, different things like that. Like one of the things that I do for you guys is, because y'all have been with me since day one, I always give y'all a great deal on anything that I do. You get a special promo. Nobody else gets that, but those of you who have been here. So I always tell y'all things first. You know, that's something that I can do, and to show you how much that I value you. Do anybody have any ideas on other ways that you can celebrate those who promote you or give you referrals? Obviously, we could give gifts or thank you gifts or something like that as a token of our appreciation.
Well,
Anybody
one of
else
the things I do at live meetings is, when it's my turn for my 30-second or 1-minute introduction, I will first always do an acknowledgement for all the other people. And you know, hearing it live from somebody makes a really big difference.
And people love to be appreciated, don't we? I mean, so many people, you know, whether it's family, friends, whatever, they just feel undervalued and underappreciated. Just the simplest thing, to take some time out of your day to appreciate someone.
Oh, I go to a lot of the selling on the spot meetings, and we get, I mean, there's always, you do your 2 minutes, then then people get the opportunity to ask any questions. There's always more shout outs and testimonials than there are questions. So I always get a bunch of them, and you know, anybody that's already with me or whatever, and we do the same thing with others as well. So everybody's kind of encouraging each other. So it helps. It really does make a
Yes.
difference.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Anybody else have anything on there that we could add?
Well, along those same line, that's one of the other things that I've noticed at some of these meetings, that they say, okay, I just want to do a shout out to so-and-so. We had a great conversation the other day and I learned a lot about their information. So if you're interested, or if you know anybody that's interested in such and such, you need to contact them and have a conversation. Just.
Yes. And that brings us into the next topic here on that. The tip was make it easy to provide feedback. How easy is it? Is it hard? Like on these type of deals, like y'all were talking about, you can openly say it in an open forum. But sometimes people go and they look on your website, look at all of the stuff, and they're looking for reviews. And, again, here's another weak area for me. I've got to, and I've been preaching this for a while to all of us because we didn't do it. Some way did a great job at it while others did not. But we need to be doing reviews on everybody in our group. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you've done business with them, but you can honor something else when you are giving them a recommendation or, something like that we can do. Now we want to be honest, first of all, honest with our feedback and all of that. We don't want to be known for being out here saying dishonest stuff. But, LinkedIn has an opportunity for you to do that. I know our Meet My Referral Partners website has an opportunity for us to do reviews there. And I'm going to do my best to make that a priority in the upcoming year. And maybe 1 week out of the month, I'll bring that up during our lunch and learn. But we really need to be lifting one another up. And so we need to make it easy for them to provide the feedback. But the other thing is, the next one is, not only do we need to make it easy for them, but we need to ask for feedback and we need to act on the feedback. So if somebody gives you a recommendation, the first thing that you should always do is thank them for thinking of you. Thank them. And if they give you some criticism, you need to try and be open-minded about it and see if it's valid or not. Sometimes it's not. I will be honest with you. Sometimes you will find that it is not valid, but many times it is. And
there's a difference between criticism and constructive feedback. So
Yes.
that's when and someone asks you for that, just be aware of how you're delivering the feedback. Are you just criticizing, or are you actually making some suggestions? Well, it would have been better if you would have done it this way. So or how it came across to you. This is kind of the way it hit me when you said that, or something like that. So I mean, it's just,
you might try the sandwich technique, where you start with something positive and then you give the feedback and then you end on something positive. That might be a way that you can do it. This week I heard an example of someone was doing a mentorship call, and they had talked about this. And so they got on their team call. And when they got on the team call, the person who was being mentored totally took what that other person was coaching them to a total different, wasn't what they meant. They knew what she was trying to do, but it came across as basically saying, I don't need you all. I can replace you, and, and so it was like totally misread how that they should have went about that conversation. And so instead of making everybody feel like part of a team or whatever, it basically alienated everyone. Yes, Claudio.
Yeah, talk about timing. Okay, this is something that's happened a couple of times up here, and I don't know if you've ever come across it down there as well. My wife and I have both just recently gotten new vehicles. We've leased them, and another occasion was we had somebody come in from one of the telecom companies to install another camera in the front, because my new vehicle is out on the driveway. There's no room for 3 vehicles in the garage. And the sales reps, well, one was a technician and 2 were sales reps. They all said the same thing, that, can you do me a favor when you get an email or a questionnaire, whatever, for a rating, if you can rate us a 5-star, because if we get anything less than a 5-star, we get in trouble. And as had my hand up, on the bottom of my screen, I actually saw an email come in from Honda, the one that I'm expecting as one of them. So have you ever, does that make any sense? Please give me a 5-star rating, otherwise I'm going to get in trouble. Well, what if you're only worth 4.5?
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Well, that's
exactly.
actually on these different, like Google and Yelp and those platforms, you're not allowed, or yeah, I guess you can get dinged if you're doing that. If you're asking for a 5-star, all you're supposed to be doing is saying, here's a link to my survey. I appreciate you, filling it out and rating me.
Yeah.
Well, we never got it in writing. It was either the technician or
Right.
the sales reps
Yeah,
that
yeah.
told us in person.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes they get bonuses. Like my daughter at her new job, she's said that they're, I believe, getting bonuses for positive feedback. So that they're in there telling everybody to go in there and rate them, probably doing the same thing, Claudio. I'll have to ask her, make sure you give me a 5 stars and you write something up,
Yeah.
But yeah, that is defeating the purpose, because, just like anything else, the survey at the end of your cash register receipt is, they're wanting to know how they're doing. They honestly do want to
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And if something needs to be fixed, if nobody is complaining about it, they don't know.
Yeah.
And so it
Well-
makes it really difficult. So we
Yeah,
need
no-
to make sure, it's great to get all those 5-star reviews, but we need to make sure that there could be something that we could be doing a whole lot better. So we
Well,
need to ask. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that almost every time I've called it doesn't matter whether it's a bank or whatever, that I'm talking with the customer service representative, they always ask, okay, have I addressed your concern here? Is there anything else that I can help you with while we're on the call? So, they're always taking the next step for that. Yeah, it's just,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good, because there could be something else, oh yeah, by the way, while I have you here, let's go XYZ. So
we had issues
Go ahead.
issues with the first vehicle that, for my wife. And there was a problem because the finance company that was financing her previous vehicle, because she traded it in for a new one, continued to charge her. They took money out of her account twice, even after the deal had been made and she was already in her new vehicle. So I actually at one point threatened to call Legal Shield, and they actually sent the sales rep over to our house with a check for the money that they took out.
Good.
But the sales rep all along kept asking my wife, can you please, give me the review, and remember, if you can give us I'm not giving you a 5-star rating, and I'm not
You're
going to
getting
sue you
0.
until everything is settled.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
unfortunately for her, that the time had elapsed, so she wasn't even able to give her a rating because it took so long to resolve the problem.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So we need to be asking for it. We need to have a little bit of thick skin, and then we need to act on it. So if they give you a suggestion and you've come up with a way that can address that, it would be nice and thoughtful if you sent them maybe a note back or an email or something like that, and let them know for future reference, this is how I intend on handling that. Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. That's just something, right away. Or this is, very unfortunate. We're so sorry that this happened, Claudio. We're going to make it up to you, because we're going to send you and your wife out to dinner on us, at your favorite restaurant. Please let us know, and we'll send you a gift card. So sorry for that.
Yeah, go ahead and supersize it on us, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yes, Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is one I don't know how to do because I care about the person. And that is so many times when you make a customer service call, at least in my experience, I'm trying to figure out how to nicely say this, and there's no nice way to say it.
Just say
I
it. We're okay.
can't understand them.
Oh, yeah.
Now, do I get through the issue that I was calling about? Most times, yes, because we both become patient. And then what I don't know how to say to them, I don't have people on the phone that are not easy to understand. There's nothing wrong with the person. It's their heritage and they want a job and they got a job. And I'm going to say 99% of the time, they know how to do the job and they do it well. But
Yes.
it's so gosh darn frustrating.
Yeah.
I have to have
Every
repeating.
once in a while, I'll say,
Usually
by the
I
way,
have to
Nancy,
have them to
every once in a while, I'll say, thank you very much, goodbye, hang up and dial in again to get somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were saying,
That is a very difficult one. And I find myself having to ask to repeat or, to slow down sometimes. And I mean, it's just so hard. And like you said, you have to hand it to them because they're there doing a job. They want to do a job and they're doing their best, and their English is just not that great, but they probably know 3 languages. How many do I know? One, and a few words out of some other things. And so we try
I
not, like
barely
you
know
said,
one, right?
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, you know, two. You've got English and Pig Latin.
That's true. That is true. Oh, goodness. Okay. So moving along to the next one. So we're asking for feedback. We're going to act on the feedback, but now we can do some personalized interactions. And this is where, they know that you're valued and understood, kind of like we were saying, the cards, something that's just for them. Not that Nancy's sending out a bulk email to everybody telling you how much that she loves you. But this is, addressed to you, something specifically that you know. For example, I'm going to send Bruce a glittery birthday card. Okay. He's going to know that that is exactly for him. And anyway, so what are some other personalized interactions that you can think of when we're talking about this, relationship building here?
Well, I mean, it could be just as simple as, let's say, they enjoy collecting some particular thing, and you either see something on sale or whatever, and you remember, oh yeah, so and so had, they collect that. You grab that and send it to them. Or even if you're online on social media and you see something that a post or a picture that is along that line of something that that they like. It's like, hey, I just ran across this and I thought of you. It's like,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The next one is make sure that you're going the extra mile and exceed expectations. They always say under promise and over deliver. And that is so important. I mean, if nothing else, I have seen through some of these groups that I've been working in, one in particular that Claudio and myself are in. I'm just sitting here looking at it, keeps popping up here. But on the GSP partners, there are 2 gentlemen that, I mean, they give of themselves, don't they, Claudio, just all the time and go above and beyond the call of duty to help folks, and yes, it helps them too. You know what I'm saying? But that you can count on them if you've got a situation or something like that, and they really want you to win. That's the kind of person that I want to be. That's the kind of person that I know all of you are here in this group. And so we want to make sure that we do go the extra mile, because customer service is severely lacking at this point in time in our culture, if you want to call it that, or whatever. And it's worldwide. It's not just a United States thing. It's not just a Canada thing. It is, I'm seeing a terrible breakdown in quality service on how people react. I mean, you go into a restaurant and they're acting like they're doing you a favor for waiting on you.
Yeah.
You know, and heaven forbid if you ask them, you know, for some ketchup or, you know, something. And I was trying to remember what my husband had just mentioned yesterday or something, that he walked in somewhere, might have been even at the doctor's office, and they were all just playing on their phones and nobody wanted to look up and come and see what he needed. You know, so it's all over. It's every profession. And it breaks my heart because I wasn't raised like that, number one. And most probably you guys was not either. And so it makes it really hard for me when I see that type of breakdown. So we want to go the extra mile and exceed expectations. And then the next one is create a sense of community. And that's kind of what we've done here. We've created, you know, a family-like atmosphere where people know that they can come in and they're going to be loved on and appreciated. And I'm going to call them out from time to time if they need calling out. And it's okay because everybody knows that we have their best interest at heart. Yes, Claudio.
Well, I got a good example of that actually. I'm sure anybody that used to attend our posting parties remembers Karen Shaw. She did the picture books.
Yes.
Quite a while ago, I had introduced her to the Bang group that I go to on Wednesday mornings. And she loves them and she's been attending ever since. She came here this week. She was here the whole week. And a couple of people that, one in particular, Dave Berger, that runs the group, actually arranged a bunch of things for her to see, took her down to Niagara Falls. We had lunch together with a large group of people on Wednesday, so we got to meet her. And it was like she was just blown away, you know? So
love it. She is so talented. If you've never seen her little videos that she does for her little memory books, I mean, her voice, she puts this music to it. It's so soothing and it's just really will pull and tug on your heartstrings.
yeah,
She
yeah,
just
she's
does
awesome.
a great job.
And she's just
Wow.
as nice in person, so.
Well, that
was
is
great.
good. That is good to hear. I will have to reach out to her because I've not talked to her in a minute. So the last one on this particular one is to monitor and have your score. Again, the whole point in this is not to create more work for you, but to give you a realistic scorecard that you can gauge yourself against to see how well you're doing. And on these key performance indicators, which they're called KPIs, every business has a set of KPIs. You need to create your own set of KPIs for your particular situation and figure out which ones that are important for you to track as you move along from the second that you meet someone all the way through the sales cycle. And on the sales cycle, quickly, I'll go through some of those because I do have that, because a lot of us are in some type of direct sales. So here are some, if you want to write a couple of these down. The first one obviously would be your monthly sales, and then your sales target as far as what percentage towards your goal did you do. So for example, if you wanted to have $500 in sales was your goal and you was only at 300 divided by 500, what percentage of your goal did you hit this month? And then you need to look at that and figure out why, you know, what happened there. And depending on whether you're an online marketer or you're an in-person or ever how you do your lead generation, that's going to help you figure out your strategy and what might have happened. Another key performance indicator would be your customer acquisition cost. Now think about this. Now we need to look at people as a lifetime commitment for most of our businesses. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just a one-shot deal where they're buying one thing. But over time, it can be a lifetime value. But in the meantime, it's very important to understand how much it costs to acquire a new customer. Did it take you 15 hours in a networking event to get a lead. 15 hours. Did you trade 15 hours of your time to get one lead? You know what I'm saying? And then bring it through the cycle. How long did it take you once they become a lead or in your database, a new connection? You know, how long did it take to move them through your sales cycle to get them to buy from you? Just like Barry was talking earlier, you know, sometimes it takes us 7, 8 times for somebody to hear our message, sometimes never, which we can look at another metric. Maybe they're a good referral partner, but they're just not a customer. But how long did it take you to acquire a customer? Maybe you had 500 people in your pipeline and only one of those became your customer. You need to look at that and see, you know, Houston, there's a problem. You know, where is that problem? Is it maybe I'm not a good closer? Maybe I'm not bringing my value in front of these people in a way that they can understand what I'm providing would be something that they need. You know, so maybe you need to work on some type of sales skills or something like that. So the customer acquisition and then the average revenue per customer. Okay, now you've got a customer. Are you cross-selling? Are you upselling? Because, you know, you've already got a customer. So it's way easier and less expensive to keep that customer happy and have them to buy more from you rather than to go out and acquire a new customer. Just like it's way cheaper, less expensive, more profitable for you to ask for referrals and get someone to introduce you, because then they are a warm prospect and not a cold prospect. So these are all tips that we all need to be making sure that we understand that lifetime value of a customer. You know, some of the platforms that we're in for making money could be a lifetime thing. You know, so all this time that we're spending with somebody up front, even though to a person on the outside looking in, they might think, man, y'all are spending an awful lot of time with XYZ, they don't understand that over the next 3 to 5 years, that account is going to generate a ton of money. Yes, Bruce.
I just want to kind of expand on that, asking for referrals. I'll just saying, I appreciate any referrals you have, or you have a referral for me. Be more specific on whatever it is that you're offering. Do you know anyone that would benefit from having this or this? Or do you know anybody in that's a realtor that would benefit? You know, it says, be a little more specific. It's like, oh yeah, I do know, you know, Bob, you know, something just a little more specific.
And on the verbiage, they teach you also another way to say that is, who do you know? Not do you know? That way it changes their mindset just a little bit. So who do you know that? And you can change that every week, especially those of you who might be going to the BNI groups or whatever, you know, when they say this week I'm looking for XYZ. And the more specific that you can be, the better, because that automatically, it's a radar antenna is what that's used for. And I mean, it really does work. You wouldn't think so. You go around the room and you think, how am I going to remember all that? I tell you how you remember it. It's the people who are very specific. That's who you remember. And that's who's at the top of your list. Not, oh yeah, so-and-so, let's see, what was it that they did again?
Yeah. Well, I'm also mixing it up instead of saying exactly the same thing every week. There's a way you can mix it up a little bit and just refine it and make it a little more fun or unique. That way it'll stand out.
Yes. Yes. So on these numbers, you know, how many new customers, and then maybe a repeat customer. How many repeat customers do you have? Maybe you have a product that they have to, you know, be on auto ship, or they're buying different things. You know, that's something that you could track. And again, we talked about the upsell and cross sell on that. And then as far as setting, go ahead, Barry.
I'm going to ask Bruce to expand on what he says, because if you've got 30 to 60 seconds, let's say every week with the same group, how do you change that?
Well, you might highlight a specific product. This week, you know, if you're having a special on some product, or you just want to promote a certain product. It's like, you know, if you know anybody, you know, who do you know that would like to save more money on their laundry detergent, or get better, you know, results with their, you know, laundry, or easier cleaning. You know, so I mean, you can just highlight a certain product.
I think on that laundry thing, what I love about it so much is, whether it's a Tide Pod that you throw in there, or some people with the liquid detergent, this is such a minuscule amount that you use. You could do some little quick thing that would only take a few seconds to talk about it. Did you know families who use the XYZ, they're using a thimbleful where they're, what I'm saying, whatever you want to talk about, whether it's better for the environment, better for them, storage space. I mean, I can think of a million different things on that, just on laundry detergent alone, that is such a plus for the Melaleuca thing. And that way you could be highlighting different products instead of just, you're the Melaman. Everybody knows that. So let's talk about what Melaman, what are some of those products, and what are some of the benefits of some of those products.
Yeah, and there's these national day, there's certain days each month that you can go to that national day calendar and see, okay, what's coming up. So it's like, in honor of this week being such and such, I'd like to remind you that we have a product that fits into this, or whatever. I mean, so you can be creative.
That's a good idea.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, I like that. So when we're going through here and doing these KPIs, we don't want to have 100 of them. We want to find the ones that mean the most to you, that are the most relevant, that can drive your business forward. That's what you're looking for. That's why it's called a key performance indicator, because it is indicating something. Okay. What's it indicating? The success or failure of your business. So I would say start with maybe 5, looking at 5 things of your business. And those are the things that you can commit to, that you are going to track over the next, let's just say 30 days, to see how you might be doing. It might be 30 phone calls. It might be 30, whatever it is that's going to drive you forward. And just know that on today's topic, we're talking about networking, lead generation, those customers, nurturing them, because that's where it starts, folks. I don't care what kind of business. They can say all day long, you don't have to do nothing. You don't have to get customers. No, customers have to be acquired, because it's not a business until you have customers. And it drives me nuts when I see people advertising, especially for business opportunities and things like that, that there's always a customer. There always is. You can call them a client, you can call them a customer, you can call it a contract, you can call, whatever, but we have to have a way to attract our target market. And that's another thing that we really need to hone in on. And whether we change that weekly or monthly or whatever, to kind of get that in the middle of people's minds, which this is going to be another topic soon. But right now, let's just talk about our networking, and is it working? It's called network for a reason, and that came from BNI. It's not net sit, it's not net eat, it's network. Mr. Meisner. And people don't get that. And I loved, again, they've changed the way that they do things, and there's a lot of different networking groups and all of that stuff, but he is kind of the grandfather of that, and how he set that up, it just made perfect sense. And I remember they called it the dance card, where you would do business, do a collaboration and, all those things. And it was an ingenious way. It was new at the time. It's not so new anymore. And there's a lot of ways to do it. But again, we've got new connections, and then we've got old connections, and then people who have fallen by the wayside. So let's talk about that for just our last couple of minutes. Okay. We've covered the new connections. We've covered about nurturing relationships. What can we do about all of those people that's in our pipeline, or that's connected to us on social media or in our phones or whatever that we've not connected with in a long time? How can we bring them back under inside our net? Who would like to share?
I'll go, and Bruce probably has can follow up with this too. Laurel Langmeyer, one of her coaches is Steve, and Steve in the Fast Forward Coaching weekly call says, you've got your database right in here in your phone. So reach out to 100 people and send them this script. Now I think it's something like, hey, Mary Jane, I was thinking of you and I just wanted to connect. How can I help you? Or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember what the word for word script is. Bruce, you might know.
Yeah, not offhand, but I mean, it's something like that. It's just, checking in with you and seeing how I might be of service,
Yeah.
Yep. Or just reconnecting to see what's new with you. For me, instead of,
Yeah.
there's nothing worse than just being pitched right out of the gate when you've not talked to somebody. That drives
Right.
me nuts, especially with classmates or something like that. Hadn't heard from them in 100 years. And all of a sudden they're going to reach out to me and try and pitch me something. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, that's another way. This is just, so it's been ages since we connected. I'd love to, catch up with you and find out what's going on in your life.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And then that kind of, comes back full circle. And then you can kind of just test each other out or whatever.
And when you're doing that call, don't pitch them.
Yeah.
Yes. It's all about them. And that's one of the things that we need to, it's really hard for some of us, more so than others, but
Yeah,
it should be about them.
Yeah, because if they say something that it's like, well, I've got something that, can help them or whatever, bite your tongue. Don't say anything during that call. Wait a day or two. It's like, on our conversation, you mentioned such and such. I've got something that I think would help along that lines. Would you like more information on that? So,
And it's about nurturing the relationship. Just don't go into the great big, and some just really botch that up. I mean, they really, honestly, they do. And it just drives me crazy because they missed a golden opportunity to reconnect and bring, somebody back into the fold. Anybody else have any ideas?
Can I just jump in here? In fact, I like Bruce's script rather than Steve's. Can you repeat that again? Do you remember what you said? I mean, I can go back and watch the replay, but do you remember?
Well, it's just something simple. Like, it's like, hey, just thinking about you. It's been ages since we connected. I'd love to catch up and find out what's going on in your life. And just something along that line.
I mean, it's a personal thing. Because the second that you pitch somebody something, when they talk to you, it's over because they know exactly that's the only reason why you're contacting me is to do that you really don't care about this relationship whatsoever. Sophia, I know you're here. I don't know if you're available to chat or not, but do you have anything that you would like to add to our conversation today? I know you came in just a few minutes late, and what we were doing is we were discussing the key performance indicators for networking and running our business and talking about how we can get folks to feel confident enough to refer us in our business.
Yes, I'm here. I'm on my phone today because I was like, doing a bunch of stuff. So I was just like, okay. But I've been listening to the conversation. I think it has been very fruitful in recognizing the things that we have to do. One of the things that I was going to say was that when you were talking about the feedback, and you say thank them for, saying things, but really I think it's thank you for the feedback as well. And whether it's warranted or unwarranted, to just go ahead and show appreciation to the person that, I thank you for taking the time to do that, and then being able to address the things.
Absolutely, because it's valuable feedback like yours that's going to help me make whatever I'm doing better or be better for the next client or whatever. And it, again, sometimes it hurts our hearts when we hear something negative, but we have to just develop a little bit of thick skin and understand that this is how we get better. We are
Right.
like diamonds in the rough. And every time we get some feedback, that is going to be the sandpaper that is needed to turn us into, that beautiful shiny diamond.
Mhm.
And just think of it
Right.
like that.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say too is when you were talking about the person who had communicated to the other group of people, and then it came off like, I don't need you, I can get rid of all of you or whatever. I think there's a place for all of us to develop that um, resource within ourselves where we're able to say that we don't necessarily need somebody, but we'd want them to be able to be in our lives. And I think that's part of that self-sufficiency that we have to be willing to take on. Because if we get so attached to the loss of people and not being able to let them go or see that it can work for my greater good, then we can get into this other thing where now we become, dependent on if they don't say what we want them to say or do what we want them to do, then that affects how we respond or how we're living our lives and all of those type of things.
Yeah, so that kind of is going to be, I want to include some of that in our topic when we're talking about defining our niche markets, our
Mhm.
beautiful target markets, because so many times we are in this space where it's so important that we make money to pay our bills, that we accept all clients.
Yeah.
We don't care what they are. If they are a breathing body, then we accept them. And it didn't take me very long in the pig group and also in our Eagles group. And I think there's only been one, if I remember correctly, in the Eagles group that I had to say, we are not the right fit for you.
Yeah.
And because sometimes it's just not the right fit. And you spend all of your time babysitting and all of your time trying to massage
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
rather
Yes.
than being in your element. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
and working with people that you enjoy being around. And that is so important. You don't want to be
Exactly.
hanging out with folks that you can't stand. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's-
seriously.
Right.
That could be another metric on the KPI. It's like,
Yeah.
Right.
Laurel refers to them as a PITA, P-I-T-A, pain in the ass.
Yeah, I think it's so important that we define who we are as persons and then say who we want as clients and then be able to attract those persons, the right person who is going to say yes when they understand what it is that we want and we're communicating and wanting to share.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it is Veterans Day weekend, and I've got a lot of family members, and I have my grandson here today, so I'm excited to get to spend the day. We're going to take him out and do some putt-putt golf, but it's inside. It's what do you call that, with the black lights and all that? I can't believe I can't think of the word, but
Yeah,
I'm
Oh,
glow in
planning
the
on.
dark.
Yep, going to plan on doing that this afternoon. And I went early this morning and we went out to the beach and it was pretty amazing. So that was a lot of fun. I hope y'all enjoyed the topic for today. And as always, if you've got any other topics that you would like for us to carry on, please let me know and we'll make sure that we get those in line. Any last comments that you'd like to make?
Sorry,
Go
sorry, the
ahead,
picture
Claudio.
didn't the picture didn't quite come out like it should have, but that's
Oh,
that's
I
Ivan
can
Meisner
see his
there.
face. I started to say, look at that. I can tell by the bottom of his face.
Yeah, that was at the Sendo Cards convention. He is actually a funny man. He was hilarious.
Wow.
So yeah,
And
he was up to smoke for about 2 hours.
Who is that?
Ivan Meisner, BNI.
He's the BNI
Oh,
founder.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
That is super cool.
The
Super
proper
cool.
picture shows the whole thing, but I just put it
Yeah.
in there now. I didn't realize I was going to chop off our heads.
Oh, all right. I will see y'all next week.
Bye,
All right,
everybody.
have a good
Next
weekend.
week, happy
Bye. Have a
Veterans Day.
great day, everyone.
Bye.
Happy Veterans Day.